Joanna Kane, a doctor in Santa Monica, had migraine headaches once a week for 30 years. She said she was either in a headache, recovering, or starting. She has been 11 months without a headache. She said she's had a few detoxifying headaches, which is natural. But she says they're low-key compared to the migraines, they're nothing. Diabetics usually in about 5 or 6 months are starting to self-regulate. Now, the Aborigines in Australia, when they came in town, invariably became diabetic. When they went out in the outback, the diabetes would go away. The doctors there wrote books on processing the food as being related, but what they missed was, in the outback, the guy didn't have any water to spare, so he pulled roots out of the ground, shook the dirt off, and he ate them, and he didn't rinse them. Every time he went in town, everything was washed, dried, and steamed, and he had no MSM. They'd begin to break down. They'd go back in the outback to get their MSM, their glands, and start working better. Now, simplistically, this is kind of what diabetes is built up of. You have little cells that are factories that have their own little products to make and things to do. They have to have a little UPS truck pull up every day and offload and pick up their garbage and leave. Now, your veins and arteries are city streets, your veins and capillaries are city streets, your arteries are freeways. Those little red UPS trucks are red cells, and they go up to a warehouse and it puts sugar and other products in the back of the pickup truck. It runs down to deliver, loads up, picks up the garbage, and goes around, and that's the way it's supposed to be. But if he runs up to that little factory and there's a padlock on the door, he can't offload his product. And like UPS, they have to carry it back, get some more supplies next day, try to make another attempt to deliver it. Well, if he goes back and he picks up more sugar and more supplies and he runs down there and it's still locked, he can't leave it, so he's got more on the back of the truck he's got to try and deliver the next day. Well, if he's running down the freeway and there's detours on the off-ramps and he can't get off, he isn't getting there either, and the supplies keep building up. Then some of it starts bouncing out of the back of the pickup truck onto the freeway. So you have to send a street sweeper to start cleaning up the freeway, which is called insulin, to pick up all the garbage that is floating around in the bloodstream that shouldn't be there. Chromium and vanadium are bungee cords to lock the supplies in the back of the pickup truck. And that works fine, unless you get so many supplies, even it can't hold it in. And then you're diabetic, and then you start having to shooting insulin artificially, and they call it a mood swing, because by the time your sugar is going up, and you get it on your little meter when you do the test, it's going up this way, you take it, and it takes a little while, and then it starts to go down, and then you've got too much, and it goes too low, and you shoot some sugar, and you bring it back up, and you miss that point again, and you're going through these mood swings. But the body knows how to regulate and put it down just ahead of the time that needs it, so that it keeps you on more of a level all day long. Well, MSM keeps the doors open on the little factories, keeps your veins and arteries permeable and leaky so that there is no detours, and helps. So you need other things in MSM. It's just a food. You need your chromium, vanadium, and the other things to keep everything working right. But a lot of things that we take for diabetes doesn't seem to help a lot of us, because your little pickup trucks can't get rid of the loads. So with MSM being the third largest ingredient, where the others are trace amounts, it's very, very important. Now, it's no more toxic than water. You cannot overdose or hurt yourself, because every 12 hours what you don't retain semi-permanently in your cells flushes, clean the free radicals, and form protein out of your bloodstream. It's a real good scavenger. You're allergic to free radicals, and a lot of people spend lots of money trying to figure out whether it was the cat, strawberries, or their wife that brought the free radicals in that you're allergic to. But if your allergy's gone away, who cares what brought them in? Trying to figure out where they came from is treating symptom. We were made to live with pollens, parasites, and bacteria. And when I was so allergic to pollen, I kept saying, boy, if we get rid of all the pollen, look at all the suffering we'd save. Right. There wouldn't be anybody alive to suffer. Without pollen, there is no life. Well, the same thing is with bacteria and parasites. If we can't live with them, we have to figure out what we did that was different, that made it so that we were not compatible anymore. Now, when the MSM cleans the free radicals out of your bloodstream, your allergy is usually gone in about 4 or 5 days, depending on how much you take and how much you're in. It's so good on foreign protein, which you're allergic to. That's what's in venom from a snake. And when they bite a horse or a dog, they can't tell you what type of snake it was, and you give them the wrong anti-venom to kill the animal. So they inject the MSM around the snake bite, and it locks up the foreign protein, and that's the end of it. 3 weeks ago, I had the privilege of saving my granddaughter's life. She's 6, and we were out training our troops for the flag ceremony this last Saturday at Intel Corporation with my troops, and she was up on a hill playing and stepped in a yellow jacket nest. She came down and screamed the hill screaming, and they were underneath her sweatshirt. She had over 35 stings when we took her sweatshirt off and we took her coats and shooed the yellow jackets. They weren't interested in us. She's the one that stepped on them, and they knew who it was. And the doctor there at the Army came over and said, she's going to go into shock. You got to get her to a doctor immediately, because she probably has 15-20 minutes before the shock will go in. I said, don't worry about it. I got my lotion out and I rubbed it all over her chest. Of course, this little 6-year-old was standing there trying to cover herself up, but we had to take her sweatshirt off to get to her. When we got through, my son put her in the car and took her to the hospital. By the time he got there was no swelling, there was no pain. The doctor looked at her and said, nothing I can do. It's over. So if you take the lotion that we have and it concentrates it right in the surface tissue, eating it, I've got 5 minutes? Is that all? Or 10 minutes? Okay, well, shut me off. But anyway, the eating it's getting the bloodstream, so if the poison gets in there, it neutralizes it there, but it isn't necessarily getting immediately where you want it. So the lotion would concentrate it, so it stopped it. Now a lot of your vitamins, that's why the lotion will stop the pain of brown recluse, black widow, rattlesnake, poison ivy, poison oak, bee stings, mosquito bites. It's all foreign protein. Now the people are concerned about their medications they're taking. If you're allergic to penicillin, Motrin, or stereotype arthritic drugs, if you take MSM an hour before, you become drug tolerant. It normalizes the body so it uses medications properly. It prevents overreaction. The vitamins that you take that are sulfur bonders, you can't use them without MSM available, are pantothenic acid, selenium, calcium, manganese, germanium, CoQ10, vitamins A, C, D, E, all the inner enzymes, and all amino acids, which is a pretty good list. You don't have to memorize it. The thing is, you give somebody a little magnesium for certain symptoms that work, the next person you give it to, it didn't seem to work. That was because they did not have the MSM in their body to utilize it. Now a lot of vitamins and minerals additional that may or may not be sulfur bonders, we're not sure about them all. If the cell is leathery and the nutrition can't get in and the toxins can't come out, they go right to you. So a lot of people are megadosing, trying to get a little into their system. Now MSM is so good at opening cells up and letting the toxins out that you can detoxify so rapidly. All this hits the poor little kidneys, which are a fine filter. They back up and you have a healing crisis. Well, a lot of people don't perspire anymore. And when you perspire, a lot of these toxins go through your skin. That's why when you're doing a little gardening work, you're not as tired if you just do computer work, because you're burning the same amount of energy. But the waste products are going through your skin. Well, if a person has a healing crisis, and they use the lotion on the skin, making the pores more permeable, we get them in a hot sweat bath with a cup of apple cider vinegar or Epsom salts. This leaches the poisons through the skin.